here to bring you some knowledge. It's the Metal Experts! Never in music history have two people been so intelligent. These guys know that Zakk Wylde plays guitar! You gotta be kidding me. Ozzy Osbourne was in Black Sabbath? You're yanking my chain, dude. You gotta be kidding me. Britney Spears isn't metal? Man, those guys are brilliant! Here they are, the bastions of knowledge, Professors Mark and John, the Metal Experts!
And there's another bumper that got you in trouble.
Yeah, that got me in trouble too.
The trouble never ends.
Dude, if we go through segments that got me in trouble, we could go fucking weeks. Weeks!
And you know what? All of this is just good fun, and it's just funny.
Well, you know what? That is the past, and we all make mistakes, and now I'm in a happier place.
Right?
I'm in a much better zone than I've been in a long time, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's see what our two metal buffoons are up to this week.
You mean highly intelligent?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Source.
Right, exactly. Didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, please, come on. It's Mark and John.
Right.
Mark Striegel, John Astronomy, the Talking Metal Podcast, coming to you from the Silver Spacecraft. I'm Bud Friendly, and now your hosts, Mark and John.
Hey guys, it's John Astronomy here with...
You ever notice he always starts that off? Hey, guys.
He already sounds drunk.
Yep. That's why they call him John O'Drunkamy.
That's right.
Mark Striegel at the Ace Hotel. Appropriately.
Oh, no. The Ace Hotel.
Right.
Everything is Ace related.
Right. It's sure it's not the Ass Hotel if they're in there.
Right.
In New York City. Hey, Mark. Hey, John. Where else would the Talking Metal guys be hanging out but the Ace Hotel, of course? I first found out about this place, I think, when that guy Chip booked Dave Rock Feinstein, Dio's cousin, in here, and we did an interview with him for Talking Metal.
That guy Chip?
Yeah, that guy Chip.
Who's that guy?
That guy Chip. I'm sure Chipster loves to hear
Right, that guy Chip. Yeah.
And, it's kind of a hipster place in kind of a non-hip neighborhood is the way I describe this hotel. And we've kind of hijacked a table in the corner, which is probably not with restaurant policy. We were supposed to, I think, get on a list, but this is just the way we roll. Anyways, I wanted to...
Ooh, they're outlaws. Out of control.
These guys are fucking rebels.
They didn't get on a list. They just went in there and just took a table.
Yeah. Wow, imagine that. Taking a table in a restaurant.
They didn't even wait.
Wow.
They cut the line to do it, too.
Wonder if they didn't see the sign that said, seat yourself.
I don't know if you remember this woman named Pink Snow who had a band called Porn Rock that then changed their name to Erotica. Do you remember that band?
I think so. Was it?
That means, no, I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to pretend that I do.
Yeah, I don't want to make you sound stupid, so yeah, I think maybe I remember them.
Porn to rock or just porn rock?
I think it was just Porn Rock, and Emily and I, Emily knew her more than I did. I played a few shows with her with the Captain T. No, probably with Hollywood Superstars and possibly Ronin. I know the Minx played a few shows with her. So anyway, she passed away, 43 years old or something, yeah. Passed away, and I was just kind of sad to hear that a New York fixture like that on the rocks.
A fixture?
Fixture.
Everything is the end-all, be-all New York.
Yeah, she was a New York fixture, so much so that this other fucking dickhead that lives in New York had no idea who she was.
Yeah.
Look at Kurgan in the chat room. These guys are dangerous. They cut in line. They do a podcast. They run with scissors.
Right.
Too funny.
They're out of control. Look at Kurgan. They are too dangerous for me.
Yeah, he would know. He knows danger.
Right, he does.
Was gone and was thinking maybe we'd play one of her songs to start things off here if you're cool with that.
Yeah, boy, I didn't know about that, and wow, I got to.
Yeah, you had no idea who she was either, John.
Yeah, this chick I never heard of died.
Yeah,
wow.
was it porn to rock or was it just porn rock?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just porn. Oh, yeah.
Now let's listen to him go into deep sad voice now. Wow,
Right.
that's really too bad.
Yeah,
Mark.
yeah. She was a fixture in the New York scene, but I had no idea who she was.
She really was a big deal, Mark.
Yeah, she was right up there with the Naked Cowboy and then singing Naked Cowgirl, and
Yeah,
she was up there with Wendy O. Williams of the Plasmatics.
it's tragic loss.
Into it. Boy, very sad news, and let's definitely get into one of her tunes.
This is Skin to Win by Erotica featuring Pink Snow.
It's Live to Win by
Paul Stanley.
right. Did they say Pink Snow?
Pink Snow.
Nice.
She's a fixture, dude.
Yeah, she's a fixture because we all heard of her.
Yeah, Pink Snow.
Yeah, whatever.
Which was pretty cool. And I just actually got an email for a text from them. But anyway, Electric Magic Sideshow was a band that I played drums in and dressed up in the astronomy outfit.
Oh, no. He dressed up in the astronomy outfit. That means he wore a spacesuit with a
helmet.
silver spray painted motorcycle helmet.
While he played drums. Pink Snow, she died of a pink sock. Thanks, Gilp Talk.
Nice.
Jesus.
So it was the same costume I wore with Captain T in astronomy and then with astronomy. But in this band, I was playing drums. And everybody kind of had a look like that. And the band was led by a guy named Billy May, who you guys may have seen on the Talking Metal new TV episode. And Bill played bass in this band, and he sang, and we definitely really sound a lot like Kiss. And
Just like them.
Just like Kiss.
Sure they did.
If only Eric Singer would wear a motorcycle helmet in a spacesuit, he would sound just like me.
Right.
Can you imagine this dork sitting behind a drum kit wearing a motorcycle helmet and a jumpsuit playing the drums?
That would be classic.
I mean, it's goofy enough to see him standing up on stage, playing a guitar wearing that, but sitting behind the drums.
By the drum kit.
Nice.
It'd be great, too, if he's playing one of those little, like those, like a minimized kit that's just like a one snare and
Right.
one bass drum. And this dork with a big old helmet.
The dope.
These guys really are shit fucks.
this was one of the first bands that I was in that, like, we went and played a lot of gigs, some out of town. We played in, like, Philly. We played in Escanaba, Michigan, which was really fun. And Bill was great, and all the guys were into kind of Kiss and into dressing up in costumes and stuff, and the music was cool. I always thought Bill was a great songwriter, and some of the other guys wrote some tunes, and it was a really cool band, I thought. But
Cool. Well, I was thinking of playing. I was listening to the Electric Magic Sideshow on Spotify, and it just got me thinking about our history. We had a band called Roy's Baby, and then, we did the Captain T.
Roy's Baby?
Who named these bands?
Roy's Baby.
Roy's Baby. It's hot.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Astronomy thing and a lot of the bands I played in, and I remembered this band, but only really remembered seeing them maybe once when you did a dual bill where you played with Paisley and then you played with them. And I remembered there being some friction kind of with Paisley and them, and me kind of being more devoted to the Paisley thing because of our friends in that band, which one of them being you, of course. And I don't know, but for some reason I kind of remember there was like, maybe Rob, I mean, who's obviously not listening.
Well, I mean, Rob and Paisley and, because we all who listen to the show religiously, we have no fucking idea who you're talking about.
Dude, what do you mean we had no idea what... We're talking about Roy's Baby. Fuck is wrong with you? How do you not remember that?
Just talking about just people and things and bands. I think if your average listener out there, and granted, we know that they're only 12 and 13 years old.
Right.
It's like, who are these guys talking about?
Dude, well, then there was Bill, and then Bill had this problem with Mike. But, Mike kept coming to the shows anyway, so Bill just wasn't into it, man. Right? And then Bill and Mike, they wouldn't come and see Roy's Baby. It just was a problem, dude. And I was always loyal to Paisley over Roy's Baby, so I had to tell Bill, you got to get along with Mike.
Gilp Dog, this is worse than Pedo Dad and Fat Cunt Girl.
Hey, my goodness. That's
Kurgan, the Rev, and Black Metal Ray are better than these guys.
Blockade Runner? What the fuck is he talking about?
Nobody knows.
Bill got grounded and couldn't go to shows anymore.
I wouldn't say it, but there was a little friction, and I was just like, Paisley's much better, or something like that. But in retrospect, recently, I should say, I went back and I was listening to Electric Magic Sideshow on Spotify, and I thought some of the songs actually sounded pretty good. I was thinking maybe of playing Every Time We Kiss.
Yeah, that's a cool tune. That, I believe, was written by Bill and maybe either Carl or John.
Well, Carl and John.
John had some chops, but Bill, not so much.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Carl and John propping Bill up in his songwriting, Bill would have never had a chance.
And clearly, there would have been no Electric Magic Sideshow if it wasn't for Bill and Carl.
So, thank God for those guys.
I know. Thank goodness.
Both of the guitar players, I think they co-wrote that tune. I got to go check back because I haven't played these tunes for a while. But of course, like when you're recording, who wrote which tune. But that was a great tune.
Really? So when you're recording, you know who wrote which tune?
That's how it works.
Is that how it goes?
Apparently. Don't be making fun. These guys know more about being in the studio than you.
That's true. Look at Kurgan. Oh, my God. This is funny.
And definitely, I'm sure you guys will hear that there's some Kiss influence. And Billy May sounds a lot like Paul Stanley on vocals. What was funny about the friction...
Of course he does.
In fact, I think it is Paul Stanley. He just doesn't want to give away that secret.
Right.
Because there definitely was some friction between the bands. Is that I was in Paisley Babylon as the drummer, but then at the same time started to play drums with Sideshow. And I guess, Paisley, the guys in Paisley, didn't want me to neglect Paisley, but I really didn't feel that I was neglecting Paisley, and I really enjoyed playing in Sideshow. And
who cares?
Can this get more convoluted?
And more boring. It's two local bands that never did dick. You played at best in front of 70 people once. Move on, dickhead. No one's listening to Talking Metal to hear about your fucking clown bands.
Right.
All they want to hear is your fucking insider story about Ace Frehley's asshole, you fucking dickhead. God damn it. Move on.
I was just a drummer. I didn't write any of the tunes. Whereas in Paisley, I co-wrote some of the tunes. So it was funny that there was a little friction. And it was so funny that we played at the Limelight where I think Paisley played first and then Sideshow played after him, I think. And I don't even...
Wow. Great story, John.
And where did this story go? Nowhere.
Nowhere. Well, it was really great because they played first and then we played second.
I think.
Maybe.
But it could have been the other way around.
Yeah. Talking Metal featuring Tim James. Bravo, Kelp Dog.
Look at Kurgan. I just bought an astronomy wah pedal. All it does is complain and talk about Bill and Carl. Jackal 1, Thayer, Mr. Nowhere.
Jesus.
I mean, did you gather anything out of this of any useful information?
Sure I did. I figured out that these guys, that fucking stupid John, played in 2 cover bands or 2 local bands that nobody ever gave a fuck about.
Right.
I got it.
Okay.
You remember if I wore a costume for both gigs or if I wore like paisley clothes for one gig and then...
I seem to remember you had the same outfit on for both sets, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, you're probably...
Thanks for checking in.
That's the other thing. These guys are never sure about anything.
No, they don't even know where they are for sure.
Half the time, they don't even know what bar they're in.
Right. Idiots.
I'm not, I think you did, but I'm not really sure. And how many often do you hear them say, well, I'm not really sure?
How many times do we have to have a discussion about what this faggot is wearing?
I think you were wearing the same clothes. You were wearing paisley clothes, but then I think you were actually wearing, no, you weren't wearing those. No, you did have a change of clothes.
Yeah, in fact, maybe you were wearing the paisley shirt and pants, but the helmet. I mean, maybe that's how it was. I can't remember for sure.
They got a TV show. I'm going to shoot myself now. Yeah, it's called YouTube.
Yeah, that's their TV show.
Right.
Probably right, but that was pretty wild. I don't even know how we got a gig at the Limelight. That was, both bands, because that was a big place. It was very, very cool. But
Cool. Well, this is a song I enjoy with John on drums, our friend Billy May on guitar and lead vocals. It's called Every Time We Kiss. You can check it out on Spotify or on iTunes by the Electric Magic Sideshow.
Wow. Lucky us.
Fantastic. I want to hear some of this. Play a little of this music. I want to hear that it sounds just like Kiss.
Okay. I will give him points. He does sound like Paul Stanley a lot.
Yeah, it does sound like a bad Kiss cover band.
It does.
Good for them. What was it called? Electric Magic Sidekick or something?
Yeah, Electric Magic Sideshow.
Yeah, great. Fantastic.
But I think they played with Paisley first.
Yeah,
but
well,
maybe. But I think... Now, I think they opened for Ronan. Wait a minute. Maybe Ronan opened for them. They were at the Stone Pony, I think.
Oh, I think it was the Limelight. Maybe. I don't remember.
John used to work at Ultrasound. You remember that?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I totally forgot that. Yeah.
How do you forget where you worked?
No, they're talking about their friend John.
Oh.
The John we all know. John and Carl.
Yeah, John. Oh, that's right. Carl's buddy, John.
Right.
Not this John.
No, not this John. It's another John.
That's right.
Sorry,
I got lost.
It's Carl's buddy, John.
Yeah, that's right. And Bill knows those guys.
Right, right. Yeah, he hangs out with them now and again.
That's right.
I definitely know the guy you're talking about, and I remember he worked at Ultrasound. And, yeah, great stuff. One thing...
What was great stuff that he worked at Ultrasound?
That was great stuff, dude. He worked at Ultrasound.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, but only him, not Carl or Bill. Just John.
Look at Kurgan. Ronan did open for Fraley. I remember that episode.
You guys should do, if you haven't done already, is go to youtube.com/talkingmetal. And this guy, Billy May, who John was in the Electric Magic Sideshow band with many years ago, recently, within the last year, did a jam with us We jammed
Oh,
Hotter
well.
Than Hell with him and Dan Lorenzo and Ron Lipnicki from Overkill. So if you haven't seen that, go to youtube.com/talkingmetal and look for our jam of the Kiss classic, Hotter Than Hell. I wanted to...
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's her TV show.
Where's Bill in this, though?
Well, he was there.
I didn't hear that. He didn't play?
Well, he was there. He was holding the camera.
Oh, but what about Carl?
Well,
I thought
Carl
that
was running sound.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
Mm-hmm.
To mention, we have a friend who has a great site called TrueMetalhead.com. Definitely add it to your favorites and check it out. So, John, what have you been up to? You've been traveling the world. I want to hear all about Ace and what Ace is up to. People are complaining.
Yeah, because everybody just can't wait for the latest Ace news.
I've been waiting, dude, since podcast 403 to find out what's going on with Ace. Now what are we up to, 405?
Right.
Been a long wait.
It is.
Talk too much about Kiss. We talk too much about Ace. Guys, you have the wrong podcast if you don't want to hear about Kiss.
At least he's honest.
Well, at least people are saying, you know, you guys need to shut the fuck up about Kiss and Ace, all right?
I want to hear more about Tommy Thayer.
Me too.
Ace or Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons or Peter Criss or Tommy Thayer, for that matter, who we interviewed a few episodes ago. So it's the wrong podcast if you don't want to hear about Kiss. I hate to inform you.
Or Eric Singer.
He hates to inform them.
Did you notice how fucking dumbass had to throw in Eric Singer too? Got to get that name in.
Yeah, you got to chime in.
That's right.
Don't forget that guy.
Yeah.
Too. Eric Singer, great drummer.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
So
definitely.
what's going on with Ace now? You were out in Vegas with him for a while?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I last caught up with everybody. We were in Atlanta for a while doing a convention down there. It was called Days of the Dead. And this
He was in Atlanta for a while?
For a while.
How long does a convention last?
I don't know, man. Maybe a day, maybe 6. I don't know. I don't remember.
Then he went out to that Atlanta thing or that Las Vegas thing where you could get Ace to hold your guitar for $500.
Yeah, well, it might have been Vegas, but you know what? It might have been somewhere else, man. It might have been Pahrump. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly where we were, and Ace was doing something, and people might have been giving him some money, but I don't remember what it was. Idiots.
guy named Bill Philpott, he puts on Days of the Dead. Really cool guy, and he has a cool partner as well that he works with.
How come everybody that they encounter is cool?
How do they even remember if they're cool? They can't even remember where the fuck they are.
Everybody that they meet is cool.
Yeah, except us.
Look at Nathan. These guys have no memory of anything.
It's like they get. It's like they get flashed, like in the fucking Men in Black movie.
Right.
Every time they see the sun, it resets their fucking memory.
Sure. What's Gulp Dog saying? Hey, what's Ace doing? He's working on his next record that will take 27 years to finish and it will suck. Oh, thanks for checking in, John. There's your segment. Next.
We've done Days of the Dead in Indianapolis. We did Atlanta. We're going to do some more in the future. And it's basically like a chiller kind of a thing. You guys in the New York, New Jersey area know the chiller convention. And
of course they do. Because
and since this podcast is only syndicated in that area, I guess there's no need to explain what that is.
Right, because, well, you know, if you're not New York, New Jersey, you don't really count anyway, so it doesn't matter. Because if you live on the East Coast, that is the end-all, be-all of all existence.
That's right.
And if you don't live here, fuck you.
Fuck you, pal.
Because we're fortunate enough to be in the hub of where it's really happening.
Right, the world happens from New York City.
Right, exactly.
Convention, and it's real fun. So I was down in Atlanta, did that. And then, in Atlanta, I had a fun time. I got to meet the guy from The Hills Have Eyes who was in the video Smoking in the Boys' Room. Remember that guy with the bald shaved head? And he was really a super nice guy, and a couple other people.
Does he have a name?
Something Bannister, but I'm not going to tell him.
You know, he actually lived near me.
His name John Bannister?
I used to live near this guy, and when we would close down the club, and we would there was this it was a day. What was it? Not a Days Inn, but I can't remember the hotel chain. But they had a 24-hour coffee shop.
Right.
He and some chicks used to hang out there.
What chicks were hanging with that guy?
He was, dude. He any guy who's on TV or in a movie, you can get chicks. No,
Jesus.
You can be uglier than sin, like that guy.
That guy.
You know, he was in Weird Science.
Yeah.
And he was on the Motley Crue videos.
I just gotta imagine the chicks would be horrified when they woke up and the alcohol wore off and they saw that fucking guy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we would walk into the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And this guy would be in one of those horseshoe booths.
Right.
And he'd had 3 and 4 chicks with him.
Get the fuck out.
That's no lie. I used to see him pretty frequently because he lived in Lucerne Valley, which wasn't far from where I lived.
Yeah.
And I'd see him all the time.
Wow.
And you know who else lived out there was Warren DeMartini.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's the opposite end of the spectrum on looks, I guess.
Yeah, but still, this guy always had chicks with him.
Who got more pussy, Warren DeMartini or that guy?
Hard to say, but I would see him. And you know who else? You know who else lived near me?
Who?
The drummer from the Bengals, Peterson, the blonde chick.
Shar or Sherry?
She used to live near me too because I used to see her in the mall all the time. I never hassled her or went up and talked to her and stuff, but you know, you'd walk by and you definitely knew who she was, and she'd look at you and she'd just kind of nod at you like, yeah, I know you know who I am, you know.
Dude, why don't you go up to her and say, hey, would you introduce me to your singer?
Yeah.
I got some new underwear for her to try on.
Sure.
And a camera trained on it.
But I used to frequently see those people now and again, you know.
Yeah.
I never bothered anybody. I would go about my business.
It's crazy.
Look at that, Jesus Christ, that dude who looks like the sloth from the Goonies.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining, some hottie banging him.
Right? Well, when you're on TV and you're famous and you got money, you can pretty much push your meat into anything.
I guess so.
It's true.
That's what I love. That's one thing I do love. The chicks are shallow enough that if they think you've got something going.
That's absolutely true.
You can certainly get some poo-ha.
That's right.
It's funny.
Money and influence talk.
Yep.
Down there, hung out with the Braun and Brent from Mastodon. They were cool. They really wanted to meet Ace, and I talked to them the night before. They had this side band that they were playing at the convention with, and I missed the group play. I was trying to get down there, but I missed them. But then afterwards, I talked to them, and they said, "Oh, we want to come and meet Ace." And I knew they were Ace fans, but I didn't know for sure if they were going to come. And sure enough, in the morning, that Braun, the drummer, calls me and he goes, "Hey, is it still cool if we come and meet Ace?" I was like, "Yeah." So they came and gave them all these shirts, and then they had all these friends with them, and I gave them all like care package, and they came and got photos, and they were super cool dudes. And I always was a little scared of Brent, because he looks like this like wild dude, but he's super nice, super totally cool guy, and I wasn't really afraid of him, but I just thought he had this, he looks kind of menacing, and but he was super cool, and
yeah. How many times are you going to mention that?
Yeah, man crush.
Oh, what is it? Every person that they meet is super cool.
Yeah,
they're all cool.
Yet he can remember nobody's name.
Right.
Yeah, these guys, they were cool. What's their names? I don't know.
They're just all cool.
They were just cool. They were in some band, and I wanted to see. And the stories he tells are fucking enthralling.
Right.
There was this band. I wanted to check them out, but I didn't.
And I couldn't get there in time, and then they called me and said, "Is it cool if we meet Ace?" And they were super cool, and then we all had a super cool hangout, and
that's right.
Then we had a circle jerk, and that was really cool. And
that was kind of cool.
And then we gave them care packages and shirts, which was really cool. And then they said thanks, which was cool. And then, it was all cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Those guys, I can't remember their name, but they were cool.
Right.
They were both great. Yes, we got to get those guys back on Talking Metal. And So that was Atlanta. Oh, yeah, I got a picture with this guy dressed up like Dr. Roxo.
Yeah, I saw that on your Facebook. That's awesome.
It's so funny. The guy had that jumpsuit on or whatever, and the butt crack was sticking out, which I just, like, I can't believe he would walk around like that. Like, he did have a backpack on, so most of the time you couldn't see that, but to get a costume made like that was just so funny, and I just thought it was...
Dr. Roxo. Am I stupid for not knowing that?
It makes no sense to me because I guess she had to be there.
I mean, who is Dr. Roxo?
I have no idea.
It must be a New York thing.
Yeah.
Not cool enough to know.
Right.
Okay.
Hilarious that this guy was walking around in a Dr. Roxo outfit. But so that was Atlanta. So then the next thing that happened is that I went out to Vegas with Ace for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And this time...
All right. Tell us how many cool people were there.
Yeah, there's lots.
Tell us how many people you met, and everybody was cool, and they were cool, and...
It was kind of neat because I always have a fun with the whole crew that we take to these conventions. But what was cool about this is that it was just me, my girlfriend Lynn, Ace, and his fiancée, Rachel. And it was fun. In addition to doing all the fantasy camp stuff, which I'll tell you about, we hung out and, went out to dinner. It was like couples. It was kind of a neat... a different kind of an experience, like where like me and Ace just hung out like as more like friends, and
he works with this guy, so they don't have friendly exchange at any other time, but now all of a sudden, because they're in Vegas and they went out to dinner, now they're more like friends?
Oh, no. Yeah. Now Ace let him in the same room as him.
Isn't that kind of a weird statement?
Yeah.
This guy's around Ace all the time, but he goes, yeah, we went out more like friends as opposed to what?
Dude, you know the way this works. This guy does like mad work for Ace for like no money.
Right.
And Ace does his very best to keep him at distance. But every once in a while he sees that he has to...
He throws him a bone.
Yeah, he has to talk to him in order to keep him working for near nothing.
Right.
That's how this works. It has to be how this works.
Sure. To make a statement like that is bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
Lynn gets along well with Rachel?
Yeah. Lynn had met Rachel before, but this time they really had a chance to, like, kind of hit it off together. And, like, when Ace and I were doing the fantasy camp stuff, they would hang. They would even though we're in the same hotel, they would, like, talk on the phone. And it was real cool. They had a good time. And we gambled together. It was pretty fun. Like we'd be sitting at like a blackjack table. It'd be like me, Ace, Lynn, and Rachel, and like some other dude would come up and sit down. And I just was always wondering, do they know that this is Ace Frehley here, or don't they?
Maybe they don't care.
And even if they did, who cares? You're sitting next to Rock Royalty, right?
Yeah. So what?
Do you know that I'm here with Ace? This is Ace here. Did you recognize him?
And I got to call Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp into play if this guy is a fucking featured guy. That's not fantasy camp. That's just fucking hiring a tutor.
Right.
You see, this guy hasn't done nothing.
And it was cool. And I think the dealers, everybody knew who he was, but and I'm sure that the guy who sat at the table also knew, but everybody was respectful, and nobody came up and was like, hey, can I have an autograph or anything like that, which not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes I think one guy did come up for an autograph, and
well, it's a good thing that you got your story straight, dickhead, before you said it.
Nobody came. Well, wait a minute. One guy did.
Maybe one guy did.
I think.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Again.
But when he did, he was cool about it.
Stop drinking, you fucking ass. Maybe you'll remember something.
Sometimes it's hard when you're, like, betting money and you're trying to calculate what card to take and this, that, and the other thing. So
you don't calculate what card to take.
He does. He's very good at it.
Who calculates what card? Hey, you know what? I've got a 10 and a 5 here. If you would just deal me a 6, I would have blackjack. So I've calculated that I need a 6 for blackjack. Hey, dealer, could you give me a 6?
Well, there's 12 cards on the table right now, so the odds of this being a 6 are about 13%. So I think I'm going to hit. Douchebag.
But it's all good. Everybody was cool. I think Ace signed something for the guy. And,
See?
that was neat. So anyway, let me
That
tell you
was
about
neat.
Fantasy Camp.
Why was that?
It was,
That's something. Famous guy signed an autograph. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
News at 11.
Because Ace doesn't normally sign autographs.
Yeah, not for fun. Not unless there's $500 in it
Yeah,
for him.
but he signed one, and that was neat.
That was neat.
Ace signed an autograph. Wow, really?
It's a hell of a story
and,
there,
he didn't,
man.
and he didn't charge him or anything?
This guy has got some real fucking road stories.
Holy shit. Look at Angel of Death. It was neato.
Neato.
really cool.
Yeah,
there's
of
this
course it
great
was.
off-site building that has all these amazing rehearsal studios and like a big soundstage, and then there are also studios at the MGM Grand. But the off-site building is just like a 5-minute drive away, and what's really cool there, and I hope I don't forget anybody, but there were a lot of metal.
You can't remember anybody, so how are you going to forget anybody?
Believe me there, John, it won't be the first time you forgot something. Idiot.
There, Kip Winger is the musical director. Phil Suzanne from Ozzy's band was there, and he was a counselor. Scotty Coogan, who played with Bride's Instruction and Ace, and Lita Ford was a counselor.
Can this guy stop putting food in his mouth while he's talking?
No.
You could just see his chipmunk cheeks are just full of food while he's trying to plow through this.
Right. This guy, he's an incredible talent. The way he can eat and talk at the same time, fantastic.
Right.
From Faster Pussycat was a counselor. Vinny Appice was a counselor. He was, for me, seeing Vinny up close playing drums was really, really cool. And he was real nice. He was like making sure we stay in touch, and I'm sure we get him, on the show. And
how did he make sure you were going to stay in touch?
He said, "Hey, give me a call sometime."
Okay.
Who else was there? One of the guys from Disturbed, and
one of the guys,
Teddy Zigzag Andreatis from Guns N' Roses.
He could remember Teddy Zigzag, but he couldn't remember the guy from Disturbed.
Rewind that a little bit and just listen to how this fucker. You can hear this fucking.
I know he's chewing.
But when he says Teddy from Guns N' Roses, he gets like the smile.
I know he's just beaming because it's somebody who touched Guns N' Roses.
Ugh, you just can hear him dreaming of sucking this guy's dick.
Faster Pussycat was a counselor. Vinny Appice was a counselor. He was, for me, seeing Vinny up close playing drums was really, really cool. And he was real nice. He was like making sure we stay in touch, and I'm sure we get him, on the show. And who else was there? One of the guys from Disturbed, and Teddy Zigzag Andreatis from Guns N' Roses was there. He was cool. He was playing bass with this glove.
He was cool.
He was cool.
They were all cool.
They were something.
On his left hand. I don't know if there's like these special bass playing gloves or something now, but he had some glove on.
They were Striegel gloves, dude.
Sure, yeah. Everybody has those.
Yeah. He had these special bass playing gloves.
Sure did. Why was he playing bass? He's a keyboard player.
Right.
He was playing. And I'm trying to think who else was there, because I don't want to miss anybody. But there were, Kane Roberts. Remember him?
Yeah. Is he still Mr. Muscles or what?
He if you don't know and he has a coat on or something, you might not be able to tell. But then when you see him, he's not like Lou Ferrigno anymore, but he's still like a real built guy, and he's like, long hair and sunglasses and all that. So he was really cool. So,
of course he was.
Yeah, he had muscles, so he was really cool.
Yeah, but if he had a coat on, you couldn't tell if he had muscles or not.
Long hair, sunglasses. He was really cool.
He was really cool.
What a dork.
everybody was great, and basically what happened was we went to the facility, the offsite place, and Ace got up on stage, and every band came in, and Ace got a chance to rehearse a song with each group. What was funny, though, is they had asked me what songs did Ace want to play, so me and Kip Winger came up with like a list of tunes. But then when we got there was all different songs, and they weren't even Kiss ones, and one band wanted to play like I think there were like 2 Ramones songs, and then like all these miscellaneous songs that like Ace could figure out, and
and then Ace just got frustrated and threw his Starburst on the ground and said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out of here."
Yeah, he said, "Man, I can't learn new songs. I can't even write full albums of new songs."
Right. So we came up with a list of all Kiss songs, but then when the bands came in, they had their own ideas, and it was just like, fuck it.
Yeah, these guys that paid money for this thing, they didn't necessarily want to only play Kiss songs.
Right.
But, fuck that, man.
So me and Kip Winger, we had a whole list of songs, and they changed the whole set list on us.
That's right. But Kip and I, we did the work.
Right.
To make sure Ace was comfortable.
Sure.
Probably knew when he was young, like Born to Be Wild, and I Got a Line on You, and I was just surprised that they weren't playing like Cold Gin and Shock Me. Like one band, I think it was Brent Muskett's group, their song was
Brent Musket.
Brent Musket.
Brent Musket.
You know Brent Musket, right? From 1776?
Right. Brent Musket.
Maybe he plays with Dora.
Probably.
Calling Dr. Love, and then, which was cool, and it was really cool to hear Ace do that solo.
Of course it was cool.
Yeah, it's cool to hear Ace play the solo on
'cause-
Calling Dr. Love.
Right.
No one's ever heard that.
Nope, not ever.
No.
Love that solo. It's one of my favorite Kiss solos. So that's the rehearsal. Then we go to the gig, and basically all the bands go up and they play like 3 or 4 songs. And it's a competition, which I didn't even realize, but it's a competition. And then Ace goes up.
Why didn't he
We sat right in
realize
the
it?
front.
If he's so fucking grained in this fucking planning of this event,
What? That people were competing for this?
why does he not realize the nature of this fucking event?
I had no idea.
What a dummy. Just a dummy. He's trying to sound like he's all fucking Mr. Backstage and Mr. fucking in the know with this fucking thing, and he doesn't even know what it's about.
Nope, not at all.
Fucking rube.
It was pretty amazing. Like we sat like right in the front row. I made like a little seating area for us, and then Ace would get up and go on stage and play a song, and then after all the
he could not resist having to chew and swallow another bite while he's telling the story. Holy smokes.
Too funny.
I have never just the eating all the time.
No. I mean, hell, me and you drink during the show, but we don't really drink when we're talking.
I got to hear that again.
and then Ace would get up and go on stage and play a song, and then after all the Counselors bands played with Ace as a guest, all the Counselors got up and did a Counselor jam with Ace, and they did Detroit Rock City. And when Ace played the solo, like everybody in the place, and this was like a small bar. I'm trying to think of what more like a lounge like you'd see in a hotel, not even like a venue kind of a place, like sort of almost like you're playing in a restaurant or something like. And
look at Angel. I was kind of hoping he was having a stroke or something. That was like 5 seconds. Wow.
Look at Jackal. Good pizza.
Right. I should be a food critic.
Yeah. Because I like to eat.
I like to eat.
But, maybe the size of a restaurant, but, of course they weren't serving food. But when
God
Ace
damn
went
it.
into the solo for Detroit
They weren't
Rock,
serving food, and I was starving the entire time.
I could have been eating while I sat here and did nothing.
Right.
City, like everybody just started like totally cheering, and people from outside and the casino were looking in, and even the counselors were all sort of like happy, and it was amazing. And
there's no words. This guy tells the worst stories ever.
Seeing Ace play a solo from Detroit Rock City or Cold Gin or whatever he's talking about, then everybody just stood back in amazement.
Look at Angel Death.
When Ace played the solo, a cripple sitting next to me suddenly stood up out of his wheelchair and started walking. It was cool. He just spoke the words and he waved his hands and...
You are healed.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yep. He was healed with the power of his rocking.
That's right.
The coolest thing that happened for me is during the rehearsal, and I'm sorry this is going on so long, but during the rehearsal, David Fishoff, who is the head of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, asked me...
And he was cool.
He was very cool.
Yeah, he was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
If I would do a Q&A with Ace. So I got up on stage, and there was 2 microphones, and me and Ace were in 2 different chairs, and I just did like an off-the-cuff...
Really? He didn't sit on your lap?
We were in 2 different chairs.
I would have assumed that one of them sat on the other one's lap.
Right? I would have thought that's how it worked. He'd have Ace would have John Ace on his knee like a Jerry Mahoney doll.
Right.
Working the string in the back of his head.
Right.
Q&A, and all the counselors were there, and so, like, you know, I basically interviewed Ace on stage, and then I opened it up for questions. And then what was really cool is after people asked their questions, I started asking some of the counselors questions. Like, I would say, like, hey, Brent Muscat, tell me about Faster Pussycat being on tour with Ace. And
everything's about Ace.
Oh, my God. Hey, Brent Muscat, what was it like touring with Ace when you were in Faster Pussycat?
Oh, it was great. This whole fantasy camp sounds horrible, too.
Oh, my God.
Kane Roberts, Brent Muscat.
No, it's Muscat.
You're right, Brent Muscat. Brent Muscat was there. I mean, this lineup's not really overwhelming, is it?
Look at Chipper. So Ace sat on his stool. They usually share a bed, too. Ace likes to be spooned.
Holy shit.
Look at Nathan. Ace was playing Santa, and what do you want for Christmas, little retard? Jeez. Oh, my God.
Oh, fuck.
Like, everybody loved Ace, but I could tell that Brent Muscat, like, he really, really was psyched to get on stage with Ace. And it was just great to see it. And everybody was happy. Like,
they were all happy.
One thing where if you haven't went to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp and you got enough money to go, and you know, now they have like 1-day camps and 3-day camps and all these things, and they can, you know, make it affordable. It's just a blast. You get to be friends with all these different guys. Like,
no, you don't get to be friends with them.
Don't. You get to hang out with them and for a fucking couple of hours.
Yeah, you don't get to be friends with them.
Not trading cell phone numbers at the end of the camp.
Yeah. You're going to thank for your money and thanks for attending and good luck. See ya.
Hope you make it.
Or not.
Yeah, or really, I don't, because I want you to come back next year and try again.
Right.
I'm actually, seriously, within the next 3 or 4 years, I may go. I may pay the money and just go do it.
3 or 4 years?
You got to save up, dude.
3 or 4 years.
Dude, it could be like $1,000 for one day.
Holy shit. He's got a 3 or 4 year plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he saves all his money for 4 years, he could save $250 a year, and then he can afford the one-day program.
Right.
it's fun. You literally leave there, like say like Vinny Appice's your counselor. Like you're like friends with Vinny Appice. Like everybody knows each other. You call each other up. You hang out. It's fun.
Cool.
That's totally not how it is.
You call each other up and hang out?
That's totally not how that works.
When does that happen?
That never happens.
They totally call each other up and hang out.
Yeah, you don't call each other. You show up in the room you're supposed to be in at the time you're supposed to be there. and you hang out because the guy's paid to be there to hang out with you.
Right.
And I guarantee you next week, they're not going to hang out with you. They're going to get in the back of the line, stupid.
Right.
Cool. Well, it sounds like a great time, and thanks for sharing that with us. Do you know a guy who's like a Kiss expert named Mitch LaFon? Do you know Mitch LaFon?
I might. The name sounds
I think he's from like Canada, or he's like with Brave Words or something.
Is it LaFon or Laughing?
It's Laughing, I think.
Maybe, I don't know. But he's cool.
Yeah, I think he's like isn't he from like Brave Words or Blabbermouth or something?
I don't know where he's from, but I know he's cool.
Yeah. He definitely is a Kiss expert, and he's a writer. I don't know if I've ever met him, but we've definitely, corresponded with each other. I think he's...
I don't know if I ever met him. Really?
They've definitely corresponded.
Yeah, I think I know who he is. I don't know if I ever met him, but,
I've definitely talked to him.
Dude, if I threw a name out to you, you would know if you met him before or not.
Yeah, I would think so.
Even once.
Yeah, I would think that you would.
If you threw any name out to me, I could say met him, didn't meet him, met him, didn't meet him. So once again, I have no idea who this guy is, never met him before, and I think I may have seen his name somewhere.
Well, clearly we're not so busy that we don't remember the people we meet.
Yeah, okay.
A new podcast now.
I think he does have a podcast. I have not heard it. I heard him on Victor Ruiz's Mars Attacks podcast. He was on for 2 or 3 episodes, and they talked all about Kiss and Revenge, and it was really great. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to those episodes of Mars Attacks. Anyways, Mitch has asked us to announce on Talking Metal that he is working on a Kiss tribute project, and you can find out about it by going to pledgemusic.com/projects/Kiss40 the tribute.
Who in the fuck would ever remember that? It's geocities.com/kiss/
Kiss 40 an CAT 3. It's like, Jesus, really?
Who would ever remember that?
No one.
Stupid. If you've got a domain that is more than 1 or 2 words, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, if you've got a link that's that long, go out to bit.ly, bit.ly, and just make one of those little short ones.
Right. Look at Chipper. Obama has met Ace.
I'm sure he has.
No, that's wrong. projectmusic.com/projects/Kiss40TH tribute. I will link that through today's show notes on talkingmetal.com. And I guess it's just a tribute CD or tribute project. And he's got a lot of really big-name people involved who are going to be paying tribute to our favorite band, 40 Years of Kiss, yeah.
I thought Guns N' Roses was their favorite band.
That was when Chinese Democracy was coming out.
Oh, I see.
That's before somebody started working with Ass Frehley.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, Mitch LaFon,
Yeah,
I've
of
always
course it sounds
known
cool.
of him since I was involved with that Return of the Comet CD that I played on and produced a track on many years ago. And Mitch was somehow involved in that, and I always...
Somehow.
I have no idea who these people are.
Right.
I've seen his name. I think.
Maybe.
Who is he again?
Mitch something? Yeah, I don't think I've met him, but I know him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been like really one of the premier Kiss experts out there, and also a very nice guy. All the correspondence I've ever had with him was very cool. And
Of
I'm
course
just
it
trying to
is.
think if we've actually met or not. I don't know if we have, but I'm sure we will soon.
Okay, then.
Don't know if we've ever met or not, but I'm sure we will soon.
Sure, it's just right down the pike.
Right.
Cool. We'll check that out in today's show notes, the link to Mitch's project. And you mentioned Return of the Comet, right? Now, that had Dimebag on it doing Fractured Mirror, correct?
Yeah, and Vinnie Paul played drums on it. And I remember talking to Dimebag, I think, from the studio where it was being mastered. I'm not sure. I think I was...
Is this fucking guy sure of anything?
He doesn't know anything. He doesn't remember who he talked to, if he ever talked to him, where it was. Did it even take place?
Yeah, I think I might have talked to Dimebag once.
But I don't remember.
I don't know for sure.
On the phone with him for a second, and I remember either the lawyer or the
guy
game producer was saying, "Yeah, I'm here with John Ostrowski," and I just thought it was cool that like he was talking to Dimebag and he mentioned me like on the phone. Even that's how much I thought it was cool. But you.
That's a great story, John. Thanks for sharing that one.
He mentioned me on the phone.
He was sitting with Dimebag and he said my name.
He said, we got this set up with an interview. Let me call him. Hey, Dimebag, I got John Ostrowski here with me. He's the guy set up for you to interview. Oh, okay.
All right.
Met Dimebag. After that, you have that great picture of you and Dimebag that I believe Lydia took, right?
Yeah, that was at a gig called Ace Frehley and Friends, and that was at the Ritz. But at the time, I don't know if it was called the Ritz or Studio 54, but it was the...
Once again, I don't know.
I don't know the name of the place.
This guy knows nothing.
He's a fucking idiot.
Place that is now Studio 54, that once was Studio 54 back in the day, but it was like the second version of the Ritz at one point, and Ace played there, and it wasn't like the normal Ace band. It was like all guest people, and Dimebag played, and then Lydia Chris got that great photo of me and Dimebag after that gig, and he's given like the metal sign looking through it, and one of the coolest things ever was meeting him and hanging out.
That was one of the coolest things ever.
That was pretty cool.
Yep. It's all cool. Everything's cool.
Everything is always
I live in Coolville.
Right.
It's Lydia Chris, Peter's ex-wife, who I actually rented a room from her back in the day for a while when I was first kind of moving into Manhattan. Nice lady. And she was on...
He was renting a room from her?
Apparently so.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, what's that podcast called? The Decibel Geek podcast. And I checked out a little bit of that interview with her. And for as long as we've known her, it's kind of weird we haven't had her on the show. So we should, and maybe head over to her place one day and interview her. Do you have contact info for her?
For what reason?
Yeah, because she once fucked Peter Chris.
Right. She's somehow related to the Kiss family, and, well, we should go interview her.
Well, she did rent Mark a room. There's plenty to talk about there.
Right.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I talk to Lydia every once in a while, and I'm trying to think of the last time we saw each other. We definitely hung out at Bill Aucoin's memorial, and I'm sure I've talked to her since then, but...
we should go. I want to know if she...
But I don't remember. Idiot.
I saw her at Bill Aucoin's funeral, but I don't know if we ever talked since then. And, you know, she's...
Jeez, oh man, these guys stink.
in the same apartment anymore. Probably, I would imagine. A beautiful apartment off of Central Park there. It would be great to head up there one night and interview her. I know she's got a book out, which I was like, oh, I'll buy a copy of the book, and then I saw it was like $60. I decided not to buy a copy of it.
Wah, 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 wah.
Such a fan. I was like, hey, yeah, I'll buy a copy. Oh, 60. Oh, forget it. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
You definitely should pick it up because it's great. It's just got so many amazing photos. Yeah, Lydia has kept like every cool thing that she ever had, like from back in the Kiss days, and basically put it in this book. And it's definitely a must-have for any Kiss fan. And it's very, very cool. I was very happy, and Lydia put a special thanks to me in the book, and I thought that was great. And just an awesome, awesome book. Like, so many amazing photos, great stories, and great text, and just all kind of cool stuff to see. Like, even if it was like a receipt from like a car rental, like back in the day, that would say Stanley Eisen or something on it. It was very cool. Like, Lydia had and still has, I'm sure, she did an auction, but amazing collection of cool stuff.
All right then.
There's a photocopy of a receipt in there.
Yeah, a receipt. That's fucking cool. Look at this, a dry cleaning bill.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, they rented a car and it was a receipt.
Just stupid. So stupid.
And it is fun to get special thanks in books. I don't know if I told you this. I may have already mentioned this to you, John. But Martin Popoff wrote yet another book on Black Sabbath and actually thanked Mark Striegel in the opening credit,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. That's the book there. And he thanked a bunch of people, but I was just honored that he actually gave me a thanks. And I am reading it now, and it's a great, great read. If you're a Black Sabbath fan or a fan of Ozzy, definitely check it out. Of course, Dio was once a singer of Black Sabbath, and there's a lot of stuff in there on him. Right now, I'd like to play a little Dio from his Rainbow days. This is for our friend David. No, who sent this in? Oh, Stephen Bell, who donated kindly to our PayPal account.
Boy.
He chipped in $10. Thank you, Stephen Bell. We really appreciate that. And we are going to play your request right now. This is Rainbow, Gates of Babylon.
Dude, we got to try that. Can't we charge $10 a request?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
I'd like to. We'll go to all requests. Only $10 a song.
Yeah.
Seems like a plan to me. It's working for those guys.
Right.
Sure, they don't remember their name even though they got paid. But,
Well, they wouldn't have that digital recorder if it wasn't for the fans.
That's right. Or God knows they didn't have a pencil to write down the guy's name.
Right.
For giving them money for nothing for this fucking hunk of shit.
I think what you should do is you should put a PayPal link up on the Classic Metal Show website.
Yeah.
And every time you click it, it sounds like a pan shaking. It sounds like a pan shaking with a couple of nickels in there.
Right. Idiots.
All right, I'm done with these guys.
I am too. I've got nothing more to give.
I don't remember, but, I think, but I don't know.
Don't remember a goddamn thing
Nothing.
about anything.
Nothing.
Nothing about nothing.
They don't know anything. I don't remember where it was. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember if I met them. I don't remember this. I don't remember what place it was at.
Right.
So what do you know, and why are you even bothering with the story?
Why are they bothering with the whole podcast? The whole podcast was the I Don't Know cast this week.
Exactly. So silly.
Yep.
Oh, I know our fans love us beating up on the douchebags.
Well, we aim to please. Especially when they make it so easy.
Right. All right, dude. Well, what do we have coming up next week? Anything that you know of off the top of your head?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. I mean, dude, I don't even care about interviews anymore.
Well, it doesn't matter if we have interviews. I'm just, whatever.
I mean, whatever. Whatever happens, happens. We'll be here.
Yep, we'll be here again.
Yep.
All right, well, I thought I'd close out the show with some Keel since you took over Ron Keel's show this week.
Sure.
So where can people find your version of the Ron Keel Streets of Rock and Roll show?
Well, they can go to ronkeel.com, and somewhere on there there's a radio link, and you click that. Or you can go to Spreaker and just look up Ron Keel, and it'll take you over there.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I had a good time doing it. I mean, it was a little rough, but whatever.
Hey, it's not too bad for doing it just on the fly,
Not at all. And just another quick announcement before we do go. Episode 2 of mine and John's Riff show will be airing on Thursday
Okay.
at 7 o'clock on the CMS Radio Network.
7 Eastern time.
7 Eastern time.
Okay.
And then we're actually talking and probably going to, in 2 weeks, maybe do one live, like with callers and call-ins and chat room and all that other shit.
Sure.
We're talking about just playing around with it a little bit. So, not sure for sure yet, but I think that's what we're doing.
Well, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. And where else would I start but the house that we built?
Right. All right, dude. Well, since you did the podcast on the fly and, people don't often realize how difficult that can be, especially when you're trying to keep it clean and trying to be upbeat and,
Right.
and especially since you were given such short notice.
Sure.
I thought I'd leave us with something from the Right to Rock.
All right.
And I'm going to play for this particular situation. Easier said than done.
Amen, brother.
So we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next Saturday night. So this is Neeley along with my very good friend
Ron Keel.
Yeah, you wish, pal.
Yeah, I sure do. I'd get those metal cowboy tattoos on my arms. I'd be ready to rock.
All right. Well, here's Keel. We're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Bye, kiddies.